A moderate pet odor problem costs the average household about $400 to have professionally deodorized, and if it's really just urine soaked into a few specific spots, a targeted service like a pet urine removal treatment runs closer to $175 for 3 rooms. Almost everything in both of those treatments comes down to a chemical that costs about $1 a bottle at any pharmacy. Vets know hydrogen peroxide handles most household pet messes. Cleaning it up is just not what they're in the business of billing you for, so it rarely comes up during a 15-minute appointment. We're talking about the plain 3% bottle, and tip number 4 on this list is the reason your carpet might still be under your couch instead of at the curb. 9 tips and a few safety notes for anyone with animals in the house. So let's get into it. The chemistry is simple. Hydrogen peroxide is water with one extra unstable oxygen atom, and when it touches organic material, urine, blood, bile, saliva, that oxygen atom breaks free and tears the stain and the bacteria living in it apart at a molecular level. What's left behind is water and oxygen, nothing else. That's also exactly why you need to be careful with it around pets specifically. It's genuinely safe on surfaces and fabric at the standard 3% strength, but it is not something to ever let an animal drink or lick directly off a wet spot. So every tip below assumes you rinse and dry an area before your pet is back in the room. Number 1, it catches fresh urine stains before the pigment sets. Urine contains a pigment called urochrome that bonds to carpet fiber fast, plus uric acid crystals that bond even faster and are what actually causes the lingering smell weeks later. Blot up as much liquid as possible first. Then saturate the spot with 3% peroxide and let it sit 10 minutes. You'll see it foam slightly as it breaks the pigment down, then blot dry. Caught within the first hour or 2, this handles the visible stain almost completely. Number 2, it neutralizes the odor instead of covering it. Most air fresheners and scented carpet powders mask ammonia smell with a stronger smell on top, which is why a clean spot often starts smelling again within days, especially in humid weather. Peroxide oxidizes the ammonia and bacterial byproducts directly, which is chemically different from masking. The smell doesn't fade back in because the compound producing it is actually gone. Mix a cup of peroxide with a teaspoon of dish soap, apply to the spot, let sit 15 minutes, blot dry. Number 3, it lifts vomit and bile stains without leaving a lingering ring. Bile is both acidic and pigmented, and cleaned with plain water, it often just spreads into a larger, fainter stain instead of disappearing. Scrape off any solid material first, then treat with peroxide the same way as a urine stain. Saturate, 10 minutes, blot. The oxidation handles both the color and the residual smell in one pass. Number 4, and this is the one that's kept the most carpet out of a dumpster. In a multi-pet household, one corner or one spot near a door often gets marked repeatedly over months. And by the time anyone notices, that section of carpet and the pad underneath it has absorbed urine dozens of times over. At that point, most cleaning advice and most cleaning companies will tell you the padding is saturated beyond saving, and the only real fix is replacing that section of carpet. Easily $1,000 to $3,000 depending on room size. Before assuming that, pull back the carpet edge at the affected spot if you can, and treat the pad directly with peroxide, not just the visible carpet on top. Pour it in, let it fully saturate, and let it air dry completely, which can take a full day with fans running. Repeat over 2 or 3 days for a heavily marked spot. It won't save carpet that's been soaked for years, but a surprising number of replace the whole section situations are really just a pad that was only ever treated from the top and never actually reached underneath. If that's the first time you've heard that padding, not the carpet itself, is usually the real problem. Subscribe, we cover one of these every week. Number 5, it disinfects pet bedding and crate pads without leaving a residue your pet could lick off. Washable bedding builds up the same bacterial film as anything else that stays damp with saliva and skin oils, and most fabric-safe disinfectant sprays leave a scented residue behind. Add a cup of 3% peroxide to a normal wash cycle along with your regular detergent. It boosts the disinfecting power without adding fragrance chemicals or fabric softener residue that can irritate sensitive skin. Number 6, it lifts blood from minor grooming nicks off fabric and bedding. A small nick during nail trimming or brushing can leave a spot of blood on a dog bed or your couch, and blood sets fast into fabric. Peroxide poured directly on the fabric spot foams as it breaks the stain down. Blot with a clean cloth and repeat if needed. This is strictly a fabric stain tip, not a wound treatment for the cut itself. Plain water and gentle pressure is what's actually recommended, since peroxide on an open wound can irritate healthy tissue and isn't the right call there. Number 7, it deodorizes the litter box between full changes, even with regular scooping. Plastic litter boxes absorb odor into fine surface scratches over time, which is why a box can still smell right after a fresh scoop. Once a month, empty the box completely. Wipe it down with a peroxide dampened cloth. Let it sit 5 minutes, then rinse thoroughly and dry before adding fresh litter. It kills the bacteria living in those surface scratches instead of just removing the visible waste. Number 8. It clears the biofilm slime from food and water bowls. That slightly slippery film that builds up on a water bowl, especially plastic ones, is bacterial biofilm, and it's exactly the kind of thing that can contribute to mild but recurring stomach upset in sensitive pets, sometimes showing up as unexplained pickiness about drinking from the same bowl. Plastic is the worst offender here because the surface scratches over time, and those scratches give bacteria somewhere to hide that a quick rinse never reaches, which is part of why stainless steel and ceramic bowls are generally recommended over plastic in the first place. Soak bowls in a mix of 1 part peroxide to 3 parts water for 10 minutes. Then scrub and rinse thoroughly, several times, since any residue left behind is not something you want your pet drinking. Number 9. It cleans kennel runs and outdoor pet areas without the risk bleach carries. Bleach is the standard disinfectant in a lot of kennels, but it's toxic if a pet licks a residue off the concrete before it's fully rinsed and dried, and it needs to be diluted carefully to avoid respiratory irritation for anything nearby while it's being applied. Hydrogen peroxide breaks down into water and oxygen instead of leaving a chemical residue behind, which makes it a meaningfully safer choice for any surface your pet is going to be walking and lying on within a few hours of cleaning it. I want to be really clear about where this list stops, because pet health isn't the place to guess. Everything above is a surface and fabric cleaning tip. None of it is medical advice, and hydrogen peroxide should never be given to a pet internally or used as a home remedy without your vet or a poison control line walking you through it directly, because the right response depends entirely on the specific situation and can genuinely do harm if it's the wrong call. If your pet has an open wound, a skin condition, or you're dealing with anything beyond a cleaning problem, that's exactly what a veterinary visit is for, and it's not a place to save money with a spray bottle. A few safety notes to close this out. Always use plain 3% peroxide, never a stronger concentration, and always rinse and fully dry any treated spot before your pet has access to it again. Never mix it with vinegar or ammonia-based cleaners in the same treatment. The combination produces fumes that are worse for a pet's nose than for yours. Always spot test on darker or dyed carpet and fabric first, since the same oxidation that lifts a stain can lighten a dye if you're not careful. And keep the bottle itself stored well out of reach, the same as you would any other household chemical, since it's the concentration and quantity that make it safe or not the label. Most pet stains and pet smells that feel permanent are really just messes nobody gave the right chemistry enough time to work on. A dollar bottle handles more of it than the deodorizing invoice wants you to believe. If this saved you a call, subscribe. We put out a new breakdown every week.